All right, we're going to get started right now. Okay, my friends, this is Gabriel the ProActivator, and today we are having a solo podcast on the 6 pillars. Now, the 6 pillars of the ProActivator's mindset. Now, this is going to be a podcast based on 6 pillars that I have been following myself. And those pillars are: number 1, faith. Number 2 is family. Then is fitness, finances, focus, and fulfillment. So yes, I'm going to break each of them down so that we can understand them in detail of what they are and how they serve our lives. Now, with that said, I have to tell you that these are my own experiences. And I've also have learned from other ProActivators about certain pillars I've taken from their lives, applied it in my own life, and I'll be breaking down that as well. Now, let's start with the first pillar, which is faith. And I talked about this last podcast with Mr. Gaston, good friend of mine. And we understood, we went through the pillars on his own life. And then that brought me to this podcast where I want to break it down into my life and how those pillars have served me. Now, as far as my faith, I gave my life when I was 11 years old. And my dad asked me if I wanted to give my life to Christ. And after a while of me going to church and understanding the gospel, at 11 years old, I said yes. I said yes to Christ. And since then, I've been a follower. Have I had my ups and downs? Of course. Yes. I don't think that nobody has ever, except for Jesus, has lived a perfect life. But it's always about progressing. And that's what a ProActivator is all about. ProActivators are not drifters. They progress. Little by little, step by step. In each of these areas. Now, have I digressed? Is it digressed or have I gone back? Yes. I've had times in my life where in my faith, I've stumbled. And can I say regressed? Maybe, I don't know. Let's just stick with maybe I gone back, right? I stumbled. Yes, I stumbled in my early 20s, which, by the way, I talk about on my book, which is coming out by the end of the year, Unleash the ProActivator. So, yes, I'm very excited about it. It looks pretty good, guys. It looks really good. I have to say myself, when I read it, I like it. It's a good read. It keeps me engaged in the story. And listen, I've had my own material that I've had in the past where I'm like, nah, man, this is boring. Nah, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. So for me to say out loud in public that it's good, hey, I'm proud of it. I'm not going to put out a product out there that I myself don't find interesting or catchy, because I wouldn't do that. All right, my friends. So the book is coming out. So I talk about how I drifted in my faith, but it's all part of it. I truly did give my life to Christ when I was 11 years old. It wasn't a gimmick. It was a true conversion. How do I know that? Well, because as I drifted, I felt disconnected. But I ignored the disconnection. I ignored it. And it bothered me. Very deep inside of me, it was bothering me. And even deeper inside of me, I knew that eventually I was gonna get back home. But I was stubborn. And I was having fun. But it came to a very bad situation that I will uncover in the book. But I did drift. But I did come back to my faith. And towards the end, I recommitted my life to the Lord. And ever since then, I've never looked back. I am 43 years old right now. That happened in my 20s. I would say close to my mid-20s. And once I made a true, I would say, commitment to the Lord, I've never looked back. And so for me, that has been huge. Following Christ, staying in the faith, going to church, going to small groups, having friends around me that are Christ-minded, not perfect, but knowing that they're broken and knowing that they need Jesus. Those people help me. So to stay in my faith. The church helps me to stay. My family helps me to stay in the faith. The person who I want to be helps me to stay in my faith. But the one thing that helps me the most is that I truly believe in Christ Jesus as my Savior. Nobody can take that away from me. Ain't nobody. And there's nothing that can happen to take that away from me. And that is my foundation, faith. From there, everything starts. Everything starts. Now, let's move on to my second pillar, which is family. Being there for the people you love the most, the people that you are responsible for. In my case, it's my wife and my 2 boys. I have 2 sons, 2 teenagers by now, 13 and 15. Fun story. One of them is learning how to drive and just recently scraped a car while he was parking. Yeah, that's gonna cost me. But it is what it is. I'm dealing with it. But nonetheless, being there for my family. Now, how does that look like in my own life? Well, it looks like me being an example. I have to be an example. I have to be the father that they expect me to be. I give them love, a lot of love, but I'm also very tough and direct with them, with my boys. And I've talked about this many times. A family cannot be a strong family if you don't do family meetings in a weekly basis. We do family meetings in a weekly basis every Saturday at 7 a.m. As a matter of fact, today, as I'm recording this, we had a family meeting at 7 a.m. It went well. Better than the last 2 weeks, I must say. We had a couple of 2 weeks where it's been rough. For myself and for my oldest boy. But we've survived, right? We're still here, and we're still dealing with issues. We're still dealing with things that we're having to get better at, and that is what the family meetings are for. One of my kids asked me today, Dad, how long are we going to continue doing these family meetings for? I'm like, forever. I'm like, well, I mean, until you leave the house, right? As long as we're there living together, we have to have these meetings. And I told them, and I will suggest that when you get married, you have meetings with your wife. Even if it's only 2 people, you have a formal meeting once a week where you sit and you talk about issues. You talk about victories. You talk about what needs to get better, the routines, the home routines. You talk about the budget, how we're doing with spending, our savings, our investments. You talk about all those things, my friends. That is going to bring a strong hold on your family. If you don't have that, then you are just reacting. And ProActivators, they don't react. That's why they are ProActivators. They are proactive in every single area of their lives. My wife, I have an excellent relationship with my wife. There's just all around. I've been happily married for over 17 years. Our first year of marriage was a very happy marriage. Our second year, even better. We haven't had any major big dramas in our lives, in our marriage. Have we had regular problems? Yes. But I got to tell you, nothing that can break or even make a dent in our relationship. Sometimes I feel a little, I don't know. I feel like maybe saying that is maybe like asinine. I don't know why, because the thing is that marriage has such a bad reputation. Most people have a negative sense of marriage. I don't know. So when I say things like that, it may come across as maybe I'm boasting, but I'm not, guys. I'm just being real. This is what it is. This is my reality. And I'm not going to apologize for my personal reality. But that's my family. That's the family pillar. Now, let's go and jump into the third pillar, which is fitness. My friends, in my own life, I've always liked fitness. Ever since I was a teenager, I started going to valleys. And in valleys, I used to work out with my dad and then my friend. So I've always liked working out. Now, I got to tell you, when I got married, I believed what the world will say, that, oh, when you get married, you're going to get fat. Sure enough, guys, I got comfortable and I got fat. So in a span of maybe 2 or 3 years, I gained weight. So when I was getting closer to my 30s, I'm like, I got to do something about this. Because I blew up. I had my 2 boys, I think already by that time, yes. And so I did juicing. By that time, there was this reality show that came out, and then this guy, he juiced for 2 months. And you know what? I did the same thing. I juiced for 2 straight months, no solid foods, for 2 months straight, guys. I did lose weight. But looking back, I did have to look. I felt in some occasions where, because sometimes I just didn't want to drink the green portion of the juice, the kale and all that stuff. At some point it felt like nasty. So I started just juicing the good stuff, but it was pure sugar. It wasn't good for me. So I started feeling bad and nauseous, and so I started drinking the green stuff again. And then after a while, I started feeling better. But that was my juicing era. I did lose some weight during those 2 months, but no, that's not the healthiest way to do it. Shortly after that, I gained the weight again, so that was no good. In 2015, I started getting fit again. And I did pretty good. The entire 2015, I lost weight. And then 2016, I did pretty good. 2017 is when I was fired up. And I started not the podcast, but I started a book club because I started reading more and listening to books by that time, which I've had read books prior to that. When I got married back in 2007, around that time, one of the books that made a big impression in my life was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Man, I ate that book up. I read it. I listened to it a bunch of times. It just really made a big impression on me. And I changed a lot of stuff in my own life. How I budgeted, how I financed, how I looked at my finances and all that. But I have to tell you that when I started, when I was going on this upward spiral of my fitness, I felt pretty good, and I lost weight, yes. But in 2018, I hurt my shoulder. 2019 was a bad year for me, boy. I gained so much weight in 2019. I had to say like maybe 40 pounds. And then early 2020, I have a picture of me. Nasty picture, boy. Woo! Man, that guy was big. About 200 and maybe 30 pounds. And I'm not a big guy, man. I'm 5'7" in a good day. So I gained a lot of weight, and I just did. It wasn't a good look for me. And not only that, but shortly after I took that picture in late 2019, early 2020, because I kind of like wanted to get back into fitness. I started not being able. I started when I was sleeping. I would sometimes I would wake myself up because I stopped breathing, and that scared me. And I'm like, man, I have my family. I can't do this. So I started walking. COVID was around. So I started, going to the park and walking. But ever since then, ever since 2020, there's been an there's been an up and down in my weight, and like, me not being able to really get a grasp on my eating habits, and it's been an up and down. But I gotta tell you something. I've never lost faith, and whenever I would fall, I will get back up again. And I will fall again, get back up again. And I will fall again and get back up again. And guys, I would not take no for an answer. I wasn't going to allow myself to just give up on myself in this area of my life. And eventually, my friends, I broke through that. I broke through that. Thank God I'm out of that mindset, and I'm a new person now. I gotta show, if you see pictures of me back from that picture that I took in late 2019. I also took some pictures in early 2020. I weighed myself. And you see me now, it's like two different people. It's two different people. But you see the habits that I've been able to acquire, the mental toughness that I've been able to break through, to get to the point where I am right now. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. There's a lot of breakthroughs that you have to do mentally. Forget about the physical. The physical comes later. The breakthroughs that you have to do mentally. For example, I kept saying to myself, "Oh, I'm just I have a sweet tooth." Man, I have to stop saying that. And I used to say, "Oh, I don't know if I can give up sugar." But you know what? I did. I gave it up. And little things, the little things. And then the consistency. The consistency. It was a mental breakthrough that I had to do in my life. I had to be decisive about who I was becoming. And definitely. A totally different person now, folks. If you see one picture and you see me now, different person. But not just physically, mentally. And you know what? It trickles into the other pillars. Spiritually, I feel stronger. Right? I'm with my family. I'm better. The physical aspect of yourself just helps you. The mental aspect just takes you to another level. So yeah, that's a huge one. Fitness. Now let's move on to finances. I gotta tell you, finances for me is, I gotta tell you. Oh man, it's been a lot of ups and downs. A lot of ups and downs in my life. I've made money, but I've also lost money. And I think everybody can say the same thing, right? A lot of people can say, "Oh yeah, I've lost money," but I just haven't found in my own life a solid income stream. I just haven't. I found income streams, good ones too, in the solar industry, I found a really good income stream. But it wasn't consistent. And that hurt me. And I had to get around that. I had to find a consistent income stream. So I went to digital marketing. I had a good friend, which we had in the podcast, Mr. John. He's done great in the digital marketing world. And I started diving into digital marketing in some aspects as far as creating content back in 2017 with the ProActivate Your Life stuff that I was doing. So fast forward a few years after that, I kind of like wanted to get into that. And since I have my friend John to guide me, I did. I got into the digital marketing space. And yes, I did good, but not great. And so for me, it's been an up and down in this one area. But finances is not all about the amount you make, but it's about how you manage what you do make. And I have to tell you, I've fallen short. Although I had a good foundation with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then fast forward with the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University, I've struggled to be able to break through managing my finances. It's one of my struggles. Just like I used to struggle with my fitness, that it wasn't consistent. I had to change some mindset. Well, my finances as well. So that is one pillar that I have to work on. And I'm working on that. And I'll give you more updates as they come. But one of the things that I'm gonna be open with you. One of the things that I've done in my finances, and it was a decision that I had to make not too long ago, is I told my wife, because we've had joint accounts forever since we've been married. But I said, look, let's separate the bank accounts. I'll take care of all the major bills. You just take care of the like grocery stuff, gas for her car, and some little bills, right? But in me personally, I want to be able to grab a hold of my personal finances with my income, where I'll be able to have full control of what happens with that income stream. So I have to be a good steward of my personal income. My wife needs to be a good steward of her own personal income. And once we become good separately, then we can become good joint. So that's the plan. So right now, that's what we're working on. We had a family meeting where we talked about it. And it hasn't yet been implemented, but that's the point. That's the goal for us to make that separation. And just like I'm very focused on my fitness and how I have structure in that area of my life, in my finances, I will need to be able to have that structure. That I'm solely responsible for my income stream and I can manage it in detail, dollar by dollar. So that's what I'm going to do with the finances in the upcoming weeks or months, right? And I'll keep you updated on that. Now, let's move on to focus. My friends, focus changed my life. Again, right? What focus did for me was take me to another level. And I tell you that, and I'm going to be very quick with this one, but don't miss this. You see, I've had a really good structure in my early mornings and my late afternoon. Early mornings because I get up really early, between 4 and 4:30. Right now I'm getting up at 4. But just a month and a half ago I was waking up at 4:30 or 4:20. But nonetheless, because I started reading, I started adding a half an hour of reading, actual reading, not listening, into my routine. So I started doing waking up at 4. And then at 4, so I have a really good routine in the mornings, guys. Flawless. I have the gym, I have CrossFit, I have my prayer time, right? My mornings are solid. They're always the same. They always involve all those activities. Now it involves reading. So I have reading, I have strength training, I have massage chair, I have now implemented the sauna. Then at 7, I have a CrossFit class. Then I have a prayer. Okay, I have my time with the Lord. Now, but I have to tell you that when I came to work, I had a lot in my plate, but I was scattered. I was doing a lot, but not really making so much progress. And then I started focusing. I'm like, I need to have a schedule for 9 to 5. And I need to know exactly what I'm going to be doing from 9 to 10, from 10 to 11, and so on. And so one day, I did that. I talked to ChatGPT or Grok. I think it was Grok. And I made Grok a chat where that chat was going to be my assistant. And then my assistant was helping me. Okay, this is what I need to do. Boom, I gave everything that I needed to do for the day, and I needed to have time slots for that to be done. And then perfect. I got an entire schedule for that day, and guess what? Everything got done one by one, and it eliminated all distractions. So before, I used to take a few minutes here to listen to the PBD podcast. I used to take another few minutes here to listen to see what was happening over here or maybe over there. And then, you know what? Did I do stuff? Yeah, but a lot of my time was being wasted because I wasn't focused. When I became focused, I became unstoppable. Nothing gets in my way now. Nothing. No distractions. Nothing. Ever since I started doing this, and I've been doing this, and ever since I started doing it, I have not stopped. This is my new rule that I added at the beginning of the year. And I've been following to the T, and I wish I would have found this out years ago. But following a schedule and having time slots has helped me because I have completely eradicated all distractions from my life. So yes, that is, for me, what focus has done. And then let's move on to the last one, fulfillment. You see, fulfillment is what you do without expecting anything in return. Whatever, if you give of your resources or if you give of your time, whatever it is that you give, but will you give it without expecting anything on return? Now, how does that look like in my own life? Well, you see, we give to the church, but I mean, are we getting something in return? Of course we are. We're getting the people, the service, the pulpit. We're getting, we're getting something. You're not just going to that church and it just happens. No, you're getting something in return. Right? So for me, I don't know if I count that as fulfillment. You see, you count it when maybe you give to a cause that you know that you never get anything from there. Or in my case, when I help somebody, when I talk to them, and I spend time speaking into their lives, I'm not going to get anything in return. They're not going to pay my bills. But you know what? That person is going to take so much more. It's going to be beneficial for them, that conversation, because I've had conversations like that where people have told me that, man, I've changed things in my life. Thank you. Thank you, brother. And that, for me, is fulfillment. And it's happened more than once. And it keeps happening over and over again. I will give to anybody who's willing to listen. I will give of my time. And that is fulfillment. Sometimes I have to speak drunk to people because people need it, my friends. People need guidance. And if my training up to now is allowing me to serve with that guidance, I'm not going to not do it. I'm going to offer my time, which is the most valuable thing we have. More than money is our time. So yes, my friends, that is the 6 pillars of the ProActivators mindset. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who listened. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. I would ask you that you share this with anybody that you think might be open to listening. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.